Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today, do not count yourself out. Um, I think people are very pessimistic of themselves in their self-thought, in the little voice in your head that talks to you. If you have that, apparently some people don't, but I do, and I think a lot of us do have this voice that tells us we're not good enough, and we can't amount to anything, and we're never going to be anything, and we're a bad person. We're not a moral person. We're not a good person, and that is really frustrating. And I think it makes a lot of us count ourselves out. And I'm going to advocate today that you don't do that. You don't discard who you are. You don't brush off your accomplishments and everything you've done and how you've supported people who've needed it, how you've been there for family, friends, yourself. I think a lot of people have this like warped perception of how good they are and of how meaningful their lives are. I think a lot of us tend to sort of look at our lives and just think, oh, it's just been selfish, and I haven't helped anyone, and I haven't been there, and I haven't saved a bunch of cats out of trees, and done all of this stuff. But typically when I talk to somebody, it's very quick that I realize, like, oh, this is a good human being. This person makes the world better. And it's funny that you really don't have to do a whole lot to impact the world in a meaningful way. Just being there for somebody in your life, supporting, doing your best. It doesn't have to be this idea of like, I volunteer every single Sunday, and I do all of this charity work. Sure, that's moral. That's great. Awesome. If you want to get involved with that, do it. Boys and Girls Club, there's all kinds of ways that you can make an impact that way. But we are very dismissive of how impactful we have been to the people around us, to all kinds of situations. It really is the butterfly effect. Like you don't understand the impact you have until somebody helps you, or kind of encourages you and shows you that, man, I've actually done a lot. I've really helped people, and it doesn't have to be helping thousands of people or any of that kind of stuff. It's just in the moment, treating people with kindness, being respectful, dropping in to see a friend. Some of those things have huge repercussions. And so the idea that we just discredit ourselves and sort of count ourselves out and, oh yeah, no, I'm not a good person. I don't think I've met a bad person. I haven't had the misfortune to meet just a real horrible person. I think everybody is in a gray area, and the good you do often far outweighs any bad that you could think you might be doing. And that's what it comes down to, is people think that they have this negative impact on the world, and they think, oh, I'm just taking, I'm never giving. But giving is not a clean-cut thing. It's not easy to see where one ends and the other begins. And the idea that you're merely like a leech on society, that's not actually how society works. And society couldn't tolerate people leeching on it in mass, en masse. So that's one aspect of what I'm sort of thinking about today. But the other aspect of not counting yourself out is viewing your life in some kind of plot or some kind of scenario where you just think it's not going to get better. Here is some very honest advice. When you think life isn't going to get better, think about the millions of people who have been at rock bottom, the unquantifiable number of human souls who have done horrible things, have thought, well, there's no redeeming that, I'm stuck with this dark cloud over my head for the rest of my life. Think of the millions of people like that who ended up turning their lives around, becoming amazing people. You hear stories every single day about people who genuinely were in incredible rough spots with addiction or tricky situations with their family, and you hear about these people who got through it. There's a lot of people that don't get through it, and that's unfortunate. But just the fact that some people get out of it and don't quit and they don't give up, that is your inspiration. That should be your absolute motivation. As long as you don't give up, you will succeed, you will overcome, and you will come to a better place. And that is a given of the universe. If you count yourself out and that's it, you just dismiss it all and you decide to leave the world or whatever, that's it. That is the end of your chapter, and that is the end of your book. There's going to be no conclusion, there's going to be no turnaround. But if you don't give up, there will be. As long as you keep the story going, as long as you continue and you work towards what you're trying to do, you keep positivity in mind, you keep kindness and compassion in your heart, your story will not end poorly. And I can almost guarantee that. Nothing in life is guaranteed, but I can darn near give you that guarantee that as long as you don't give up and you work to strive for what you want, and I can't tell you what you want, you've got to know what you want in your heart. As long as you don't give up, you will get there. And that is such a great fact of the human condition and how humans operate and how we see the world. And if you can continue that sort of industrious momentum, or just start the momentum, if you feel like you're standing still, if you can just start that momentum, it builds and it grows and it compounds and becomes a beautiful life. I have met people who have told me about the horrors of their childhood or the difficulties of their teenage years or troubles in their 50s or 60s, and they never give up. And when I'm talking to them, they might not be at the pinnacle of success, but they're up there. They might have more great things to come, but they are certainly not in this rock bottom, count themselves out attitude or mindset. And I think that's really important to keep in mind. And it's very impactful and important to have that perspective and to really embrace that perspective, because it is so easy and effortless to count yourself out and just say, well, I'm never going to get better, and just slowly decay and disappear into nothing. That's the easy option. But if you have any semblance of motivation, determination, you don't want your story to end out like that way, it won't. And that's all it takes. It's also super easy to do that. It's also super easy to embrace good habits, productive communication, good relationships. And those things pull you out of that, and they give you not just a fighting chance, but a winning chance. And that is where it really comes into its own. So when I say don't count yourself out, don't. Because the number of people who bring themselves back from the brink in any situation, I don't care what you're talking about, whether it's dating or your career, your fitness, your spirituality, every single one of those aspects had people who didn't count themselves out, came to a better place, realized, oh my gosh, I'm actually the master of my fate. I'm actually this is all in my hands. It's a scary thought that it's all in your hands. It's also incredibly freeing, incredibly liberating, that it's up to you. It really is. And if you count yourself out, that's it. Close the chapter. But I would advocate that life is much better when you don't. And I would advocate that you will find so much beauty and amazing potential and experience in life. So, as I always say, we are just visitors here. You get to choose how long your stay is, but I would advocate for trying to stay as long as possible. So, that's my 2 cents for today. Don't count yourself out. Let me know what you think. Hope it's helpful. I'm just a silly boy in his room talking about these things, but I mean them and I believe them, and that's all I'm going to say today. Hope you're having a beautiful day. If you're not, tomorrow can always be kinder. So there you go. I will talk to you guys tomorrow.